Hello everyone and welcome back. On this video, I am working on this bumper that I brought from another member of a car club I'm part of. And they didn't know that this was made by, I guess, like a Russian guy that makes these F7 knockoffs. They are horrendous. Look at how far off that fender is. I mean, the bumper is on the driver's side. It sits up, I think, I want to say like almost like a 3 inches. It's not flush. It doesn't clear the gas tank. Same issue on this side. It's sitting back from the car of like a good, I want to say an inch and like 5/8. It's so bad. And I'm not mad at the kid or anything like that because he didn't know. He never installed on his car, so he didn't know any better. But I am super hard-headed and I was up for the challenge to make this work. And I've never done a major, I guess, fiberglass repair like this before. And I figured it would be a really cool project to pretty much fail at and just figure out as I go along. I went ahead and marked out where it hits the mufflers that I have because I have an aftermarket exhaust system, and I have to cut that portion of the bottom end of the bumper off so it can clear. See right there? Yep. And while I was cutting it, I'm slowly working it or cutting it wider until I get it just about where I need it to be. I have those two guidelines on either side, so I cut it first at the first line where it's narrower, and then after that I just kind of kept on cutting a little bit farther back and sit until it sat nice and flush and was able to clear the exhaust system or the mufflers. But that didn't even matter. As you see later on right there, I had to cut out the bottom. See in the bottom left hand side, I had to cut out the bottom of the bumper there so that it could clear the gas tank. I was a little frustrated and pissed off because I don't understand how someone can make a mode for a bumper and just have it be so off. The fitment on this thing is just, I don't know what type of 3S they mocked this against or used as a mock-up, but it must have been like a toy car 3S because not one dimension on this thing is right. And again, this is not an official DeftRacing S7 bumper. I wish it was. I thought it was, but it turned out to not be. And so this is all the work I had to do to make it work. And on the bottom end of this bumper, I had to cut that out, as seen earlier, push it forward a couple of inches, well not inches, push it forward a little bit, and I had to angle it down at the same time so it could clear that gas tank. And this is rough cuts. Don't worry about this. I'm gonna go ahead and sand all this down, even it all out, put body filler on it. But right now, this is just the rough draft, I suppose you can say, for me, just trying to get the bumper to at least fit onto the car. That was my main goal. I even had to cut the bottom end of the rear of the car over there. You see I sprayed the primer on to get it to clear even more. Yep, see all that I had to cut off? Because even with me cutting the bottom end of that bumper off, pushing it forward, angling it down, it still didn't clear the back of the car. Yeah. Oh, and don't laugh at me, please. I know, it's just so gross. But it was like negative, I don't, maybe 15 degrees outside. I did this over the winter time. And this resin was so cold and tight. It was working with molasses times 10. It didn't want to move. It didn't want to come out the bottle or anything. And that was after me letting it set for a good week. It still was tacky. And that's why it took me so long to I guess most of the work done on this bumper. Because it was wintertime and super duper cold outside. Yep, just tracing back where I'm going to cut it. And coming later up in the video, you'll see that I actually had to cut both sides of the bumper where it gets to the rear fender off and move it forward a good almost like 4 inches. And I did this by myself with no one helping me to hold anything, it being wicked cold outside. And so it's gonna look really bougie ghetto, but you know, sometimes you gotta MacGyver it, you gotta make it work. So I made the thing work. You gotta do what you gotta do. Yep, moving that forward. It looks alright, I'm happy it fits on the bottom at least, which is pretty much what I wanted. And I still had to cut off a little bit more underneath, but it's so far pushed back on the bumper that you can't tell that I had to cut that off for the gas tank. See, look how far down that gas tank sits. The gas tank sits down a good couple inches. So there's no way it was gonna clear at all. Even if this was made for, a 3S instead of a Stealth that has the lights a little bit lower, it's still, there's no way it would have cleared. And even on the side here, I don't know who this guy is that lives in Russia, but damn, he needs to be ashamed of himself, because this type of fabrication work is just horrendous. Absolute trash. But I got the bumper and I'm just gonna make it work. So, as the saying goes, it is what it is. Get ready to cut the side of that bumper and just wait until you see how far to push it back. Yeah, I told you it was gonna be the worst. I told you it's gonna be ghetto. But yeah, duct tape, a hatchet, and a bottle of whiskey, you can make anything work. Or at least I think that's how that saying goes. If not, then I made the saying up right now. Yep, that's literally painter's tape. And I have a little piece of stirring stick, a wooden stirring stick, and just some screws that I screwed in there just to kind of hold it to act like a third hand. Because it's so off. Look at how big that gap is. And it still doesn't sit flush up there. So I have to cut that, move it towards the car, and I have to move it out at the same time and angle it. In the upcoming videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's still not right because the bolt holes are all off. I'm gonna have to go through it again, cut that side, push it out, angle it over, and then add more fiberglass resin on the other side so there's something, so I can push the bolt hole over so I can bolt it to the car, pretty much. And same problem on this side. Look at that. Ooh. Oh, so bad. Oh, it looks fugly. So bad. I'm pretty proud of my MacGyverness right here. Pretty proud. And by the way, MacGyver was my jam. I love that show. I watched it so much when I was a kid. And that probably helped to mold me into the lady that I am today. Making stuff and breaking stuff and catching stuff on fire was that show. So shout out to MacGyver And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you watch it. It's a great, great show. Yep, see, I finally got that flush. So it doesn't look that bad. Just a little overview of how it looked before I did the work. This is before I did any of the cut-in or the modifications or anything. It's cricket, it doesn't sit right, and right there I have to have it propped up on the pieces of wood. Yep, see, I got arrows and all that good stuff, so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, we are ending or going towards the end of the video. That's pretty much it. Stay tuned for part 2. I have it up soon.